Chrissy? Hey, Chrissy. Chrissy, can we talk? Chrissy,
Unsa ba? What do you want from me, Jacob?
explain yourself, ha? Ano naman nagkuyog-kuyog mo ni Sabal?
And then, unsay problema ni mo, ana?
The problem? I'll tell you the problem.
The Material Self, presented by Group 11.
Dahil ko ganahan na magkuyog-kuyog ni Sabal. Because Chrissy, let me remind you. You are mine.
The material self, according to William James, pertains to the objects, places, or even people which have the label mine. Such possessions are viewed as extensions of individuals' identities. The material self refers to tangible objects, people, or places that carry the designation my or mine. He further added that oneself is the sum of everything he possesses. Here is the different part of the material self, according to William James. Number 1. Body, the innermost part of our material self. Number 2. Clothes. Choices of clothing directly impacts and shapes our personal identity. Our father, mother, sibling, spouses, and children are part of us, and that people may feel that losing a family member is like losing a part of themselves. Number 4. Home. We clean and decorate our house as an extension and reflection of ourselves. Two subclasses of the material self can be distinguished: the bodily self and the extended self. Bodily self is a term that refers to the aspect of the material self that is related to one's own body. It is the sense of ownership and identification with one's physical appearance, sensation, and actions.
Hi, beautiful. Gawin sa ka. Available naman niya.
Bodily self is closely linked to bodily autonomy, which is the right to make decisions over one's own life and future. The bodily self is also the possession that provides us influence, power, sympathy, social status, and emotions. Extended self is the part of the material self that do not get attached to possessions, and that it is based on your self-worth to unstable objects and meanings. Examples of these are your family, house, and even your vehicles. Tackling this topic forces us to question whether our material possessions can truly buy happiness and stability. Our acquisitions of possessions has become an extension of our identity. Possessions such as our phone, car, jewelry, or people are not just things, but they serve as symbols of who we are, reflecting our values, social standing, and personal narrative. Psychologically, these possessions help us define ourselves and how we wish to be perceived by the world. Losing them can have a profound impact on an individual, as it may feel like the loss of a part of their identity. When we lose these items, especially those tied to our sense of self-worth, we often experience emotional distress, from grief to anxiety, as they can alter how we view ourselves and our place in the world. However, it is crucial to recognize that we should not become overly attached to these material possessions. The reality is that possessions are temporary. They are not something we can take with us forever. The process of detaching ourselves from material goods can help us avoid unnecessary emotional turbulence when they are inevitably lost, stolen, or rendered obsolete. In fact, research suggests that an over-reliance on material possessions for self-definition can lead to a fragile sense of identity, making us more vulnerable to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt when those possessions are no longer available. The key is to understand that our true worth does not lie in what we own, but in who we are at our core. Learning to appreciate material goods without becoming attached to them allows us to maintain a healthier, more stable sense of self, one that is less affected by the transient nature of the material world. By finding a balance between enjoying our possessions and remaining grounded in our deeper values and relationships, we can better protect our sense of identity and self-worth in an ever-changing world. The end.
Nice to know you, I'll be